Okay, this is going to be the last video, unfortunately. I realized that last video I did not move the 10 spot. And by not moving the 10 spot and correcting it at the end of the video, the Confederates have hit 0 strategic will. So the game will end the year of the election right before the election. I think as I look back, the big mistake I made was I'm going to blame Bragg. I'm sorry. When Bragg vacated Arkansas, he basically gave up the 5 points for Arkansas and then the 7 for Texas. That was a 12-point swing plus the resource points. You can see them there and there. I should have stayed there, realizing they were medium battles. Most I would have lost in a medium battle 3 units. I could have survived 2 such attacks and kept that army pinned up there and maybe made it to next turn. And if that would have happened, my tactic and strategy for the South, which I was planning on doing, was basically getting Forrest out of the Army of Northern Virginia, railing him all the way down to the Army of the Mississippi, and then doing a last-ditch effort to, I think a good Union player would know what I'm doing. An average Union player may not, but if I can destroy the Army of the Cumberland, and I would get my resources into the Army of the Mississippi, get that up to a 4, potentially a 7, and slowly come back here. You can see the Army of the Cumberland. It's going to be hard to get resources to him because he's very spread out. Those 2 units can get there next turn, and that would take his army from 5 to 7 matching mine. But again, if I could have maybe got the Army of the Mississippi over there and just pounded him and hoped to defeat him, and that would have cost the Union 10 strategic will for losing an army, which would have taken them from a 62 to a 52. Then remember, at the end of the turn for the election, they would have lost 5 more. Now, the Union could have easily countered that in a few spaces. One, just ungarrisoned fort, making a naval move into there and take out the fort, take Charleston's worth 3. That's one easy way to get some points. The other is I never converted West Virginia. So a conversion of West Virginia would have been 5 more points. That would have been 7. So I think the Union had some easy moves to get that back. The other thing is, I think those are 2 of the easiest moves for them to do. So some of the things I really liked here, if I look back at the thematics of the game, I thought the Confederate defense of the Mississippi was just huge. They kept pouring whatever they can spare into New Orleans to hold it. They built those forts with that card, and they were able to hold on to Mississippi for the game. I thought the Confederates in Forrest, when all looked bleak and grim in the capital, his ability to get up there, hold off, cut supplies, get back into the capital, let them build their defenses back up was huge. Again, mainly because when I was making all those attacks with Grant, I didn't have cavalry, and I was losing modifiers that probably could have won that battle. So I thought that was a great move. It kept the capital open. I was fortunate enough to run the blockade in some tough zones, and make those rolls, get those units up there resupplied. Got a couple of cards to get some units in. I think that really helped the South. I think the Union's ability, I play this game a few times. It doesn't always work out where the Union gets all their blockade cards, but here they got them in good timing too to get the blockade level up to 5. And that really strangled the South. They couldn't get their resources in. They were losing basically 4 a turn plus 8 strategic will. So that really hurt. There are some cards in the deck that the Union can raise the blockade back up, but I never got them. So unfortunately that never happened. I think as well, some of the other things I look at across the board, generals, you can see these were the casualties for the game. And you can see the Confederates lost some really good firepower. Jackson with a 3-3, Stewart a 2-2, Morgan a 2-1, and the Union only lost McDowell. And probably historically accurate in the amount of generals lost in the actual battle. Next turn coming in, okay generals for the South. But you can see Thomas was coming in. He was a 2-3 for the Union, so they would have got the better general with a lot more attack and defense firepower. My last ditch desperation effort for the South would have been Army of Northern Virginia trying to attack out and hopefully just roll like a 6 to a 1 for some desperate move to potentially win a battle up there and get the plus modifier. Another big miss was the battle here. I just rolled really bad for the Army of the West. I thought if they can win that battle, they would steal 5 strategic will from the North and then not only gain the 3 for their win, but +2 for reversal of fortune. And unfortunately, the battle did not go as expected there. Again, I go back to the generals. You can see in that army where I was hampered, Polk has no modifiers. And late in the game, I wanted to get Lee in there, but I would have took a 5-point hit on my strategic will for demoting Polk. And I just feared that by doing that, it was really going to cost me on the track. You can see my army of Mississippi with Longstreet. Had that again. That was a pretty decent army there. That's the one that was going to switch out Fitz-Lee for Forrest to go after the Army of the Cumberland. Army of the Tennessee, that's the one that really had no firepower with them. You can see that there. And then the Army of Northern Virginia. And then you can see out here where the Union armies were just stacked. So you can see the Army of the Potomac, Grant, Sheridan. Look at all those pluses there. Army of the Tennessee, Army of the Cumberland, and the Army of the Missouri. And then you can see the Union armies sitting at 13, 7, and 5. And the Confederate armies sitting at 8, 4, and 3. So again, heroic to hold on to the Capitol. But the South, the year of election came up, but the South looked at it and said, man, we have no units coming into our ports. We lost 3 states, so instead of getting 9 resources, we're only going to get 6. We're really capitulating everywhere. And the general said, we can do it. We can make these frantic attacks. And the government basically said, we just don't think. We think enough is enough. We're gonna end it, and basically raise the white flag. So history in this case will repeat himself a little bit earlier. The way I track victory, as I keep track of the games that I play, is how many cards are left at the end of the game. So meaning I didn't play fall of 1864 and I didn't play spring. So the Union's going to win this game by 14 cards. This is where if the game ended mid-turn and I had 3 left and all of next turn, I'd say they won by 10 cards. Or the Confederacy won by the negative number of that amount. It's just a way for me to keep track of it. I will tell you, I've played this game a lot, and the Union probably wins, honestly, like 70% of the time. I think the South versus an experienced player will win. I think a really good South player versus a medium Union player is really, really... I think the Confederacy still pulls that out. I think when you get 2 really, really good players playing together, from what I've seen, it's just the favors in the Union, partly because of the numbers that just keep pouring. And I like that because I think that's historically accurate. It shouldn't be very easy for the South to win in this case. But then again, there may be some folks out there with different strategies that they would have employed, but hopefully you liked it. I love the game. I love the supply mechanic. I love the way you build armies. I love the way you take the political pressure of who you put in command. I love the way the Southern generals can really hold their own and win battles, but eventually lose attrition. I love the way the rivers work. It's, I just love that the Union can take advantage of them and really cut the Confederacy in half. I love the way you destroy resource centers, and I love the card-driven mechanic. I play a lot of games without card-driven, and you can get players doing the same strategy every time. But when you have the cards and the events and what you pull and what you can use, it makes the choices different every single game, and I love that. So again, hopefully you enjoyed it. One of my favorite games. This will conclude this, and had a lot of fun doing it. We'll see when we get to the table next time. Take care.